Now that you're at war, end of game. 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 Yeah. It is the end of the time. Yahweh will not bless the nation that has gone astray. Blood sacrifice in the bay, children gunned down. Do we ever learn who it is and what they want? Now that you're at war, end of game. 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 End of game. Now that you're at war, end of game. End of game. We see them here, we see them there, the epic of creation and destruction. Blood are not tears, torture is not joy, stalking is not something of goodness and God. Love and peace everywhere cannot abide, it must subside. It comes through the same place of fear. Fear of the other, fear of me, fear of you, and the absence of love. Yeah. Yeah. Don't wake up. Don't you wake up. Satan, God, choices. Now that you're at war, end of game. Where is love? That you're at war, end of game. Peace is not war, love is not hate, stalking is not friendship. Now that you're at war, end of game. Now that you're at war, end of game, end of game, end of game, end of game, end of game. the epic of creation and destruction. Now that you're at war, end of game. Now that you're at war, end of game. Now that you're at war, now that you're at war, end of game. End of game. Now that you're at war, yeah. Greetings in the name of the Most High. Okay. Anger 101. So, you know, I can take the high road. That doesn't mean there won't be a bloodbath. That doesn't mean there won't be, I don't know if, I really don't know if the so-called radical left has enough people to go against the, patriots. And government's useless at this point because the government, see, here's what you're up against. Nobody does anything. And Trump apparently is out of his mind with anger and sadness and upset that he can't move forward because his DOJ is hamstrung. The FBI is hamstrung. They're the Keystone Cops. Nobody can arrest anybody. In fact, if you want to learn about who and where the cults are, you can do so by actually Pia put up a note on on the yesterday's podcast of where you can listen to a woman who's infiltrated these various cults, and they're really just like militia groups, but they're cults. They're run. We didn't go into this yesterday, but most of these are run by the CIA, and their programs are derived from all the way back from MK Ultra, and to when we went from Manchurian Candidate to macro to mind control. Which, if you want to see that, you can watch Girl Next, which states that very thing. How prescient of me. Anyway, so macro is where it's at. You apply it to the entire society. That's what Louis Jolyon West was working on before his death, was the mass programming of the nation and the world, not just individuals like he did with Hinckley and he did with Sirhan and Timothy McVeigh and Mark David Chapman. And should I go on? Do I need to go on? I'm assuming you even know what I'm talking about. You may not. So these cults, which are no different than the Symbionese Liberation Army, the various groups, Black Panthers, Jonestown, even, and even the Christian cults, the CIA. I was in a cult run by the CIA. Literally, they run them all, but I was in one, and the people who ran it were the same ones who wanted to intervene before my father was murdered. And I couldn't do anything. I was so traumatized by seeing these people again. They're psychiatrists, husband and wife team.
won't go into the name, who put me in that cult, and then later on, when I tried to return to LA, they tried to get me to intervene in court against my mother's murdering my father. So that was and he had been poisoned, and he died at 69 as a result. What a terrible thing. And then she ran off with her the caregiver that she presumably fell in love with, who helped in the elimination or the deletion. Very sordid, but anyway, that's where I got my knowledge about the CIA running these cults, whether they be Christian, trans assassin cults, Symbionese Liberation Army, whatever you want to say, the Branch Davidians, and I could go on and on and on and on and on and on. And plus, all the cults you don't know about that are out training right now with military weapons, getting ready for this big war that they're trying to do because they have a global agenda, which is no USA, as they chant, at all, and no countries, no trees, no sky, no sun. Just blot out everything. That's basically where they're at. That's like where Bill Gates is at. And then you follow the money. And if you follow the money to all these things, it leads back to the same people that fund all this stuff. The Soroses, the various, don't forget BlackRock. And a lot of these institutions are tied in are tied in with the CIA, and the CIA is involved in money laundering and drug dealing and human trafficking, and you name it, they're into it. There's that dark side of it. There's also a white hat side, a light side, but I mean, it's the thing that worries people are these. Now that how many people do you think were involved in the trans shooting? 40, 50 whole departments. Yeah, because there were media watching, there were military departments watching, there was FBI watching, there was CIA watching, there was numerous people behind it, people that were trained to handle these trans killers and set them loose, and then they're running around saying no. They want to kill everybody, to where they're happy. And anybody with any common sense, which they don't have because they're mentally ill mostly. And that's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with a demonic force that's being cultivated by powers in the United States that are against itself, that want to overthrow the United States from within. And they're rearing their ugly head right now, and they're really adamant. And they really want to go at it. And they really want to do a false flag right now and shoot up a black church, blame it on Trump, blame it on Charlie Kirk, and then, start the whole process of burning down the United States and leveling the buildings and bring total chaos. The architects of it are people like John Podesta. You've got James Carville as well, and others on who've gone to the radical side of left to take up arms with the people on the radical side, because people in the middle are not wanting to take up arms and go to war. And the same thing with middle of the road, right wingers. There's really no right or left wing. It's really issue by issue. But they have to say it because it demeans people. Right wing means bigot, Nazi, Hitler, blah, blah, blah. Demean and punish and shit on. So you know what we think about the media. The media is evil, sick, and should be eliminated. And that, no, I'm not for a free press that will report the way these people report. I'm right now, I'm for just locking the whole thing down. It'd be safer going to martial law right now than letting, this thing play out. But, letting it play out, go ahead, gun down. When they gun down the kids and they start cheering about that, I wonder how you're going to feel then if you wish you had done something. You know, you people in the military, you people in positions of power that could do something, that could intervene, that, you know, so I presume you know where the training grounds are, where the cults are, where they're located. There was one that was shut down and under investigation by FBI in Salt Lake City. So Utah is rife with them. Okay, well, those should be shut down for the, you know, for national security purposes. Will they? No. Pam Bondi will go after a Home Depot or Office Depot because they won't print the posters for honoring Charlie Kirk because they believe that men, women, children, anybody on that side should be gunned down. Yesterday, now, anywhere, which means people are not safe anywhere, which means they will start staying home. They will start not going out. They will start being cowed. And then, you know, these people will run rampant, and then they will provide their terms of surrender, which will be capitulation. And if you thought you liked the Green New Deal, fake, DEI, fake, and the rest of the programs, all fake, for the purpose of impoverishing the United States, eliminating it, and finishing off the money laundering and pillaging all the goods and services and businesses that the United States contains, because the robber barons are feeling a little light in the wallet, shall we say? And so they're looking for, they want to take Russia, and they want to take MAGA patriots or whatever. And so that's what they do. They rob. They don't create. They don't build. They tear down. They rob. They destroy. And the people are so fucking stupid that they sit there getting shot in the head, one after the other, boom, 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 and their kids, wham, bam, bam. And they just sit there, my kid, do that. Boom, gone. Boom, gone. Another one gone. Another one gone. They're all gone. And then does it stop there? No. That demon wants to kill every single human being all the way back to Adam, to the first creation. That's what that demon is. So no, you don't stop it. You get the MAGA patriots, then you get the, you know, you go after the moderates in the Democrat Party that wouldn't back it. Oh, they're next. Got to dox them all, go get them. And then until we eliminate 8 billion people, but we should go for 9. However many there are. This is one of the cleaning units. And so that's what you're going to be facing. I hate to tell you people, but last night, I haven't had a kind of a dream like this in many years. I had a very vivid dream, and in the dream I woke up, I looked out the window, and all I saw was the sky was black, and there was a nuclear firestorm coming at me. A nuclear bomb had been detonated, and it was rolling, to take us out. It was going to, burn us alive. And there was nothing I could do. I had that whole feeling of I was going to, and then I finally woke up and I could still see it. It was coming. So the nuclear war gets started right after the shootings, the false flags, the kind of civil war conditions, and then we get the nukes with Russia, which will destroy all people. And James Carville should be so proud of himself. I would love to have a duel, actually, a guy like that. A knockdown, drag-out fight to the end. He's, 80, and I'm 72, almost. And we just have just have a fight to the end. Whoever wins, that side wins. He's on the side of demons. He's on the side of loss of life. He's on the side of killing innocent people. And so he's crossed the line. So Trump obviously radicalized him. Trump obviously broke him. And now he's a broken vessel and he wants violence. So he's right on board. But a lot of us think Podesta is the architect of this latest round. And they did the same thing back in 2020. Election was stolen. They set up this whole false flag of entrapment for patriots on the Capitol grounds. Many people were arrested that didn't do anything wrong. Some are still sitting in jail now with no due process. Trump has no ability to let them out or do anything, let alone release the hostages in Israel. He's stuck. Trump is finally stuck, and they know it, and they're coming for him. Apparently, Netanyahu has put out a contract on Trump. So that's another thing you need to know. Okay, so you're basically fucked. And that's why I say put your faith in Jesus, because, you know, even though Charlie Kirk was blown away, I sensed a peace. I sensed a peace there. Things were complete. People are saying he did the wrong thing by he refused the money. Netanyahu wanted to give him over $100 million, and he refused it. And you know, to start pitching for, you know, Israel's side, to start influencing via Israel, to come to Israel to be indoctrinated and then come back to the United States and be, you know, fighting anti-Semitism. And he wouldn't do it. And that's my proof that he's no Zionist. If he is a Zionist, he's a lousy one. So you'll have to take back those words, those of you who said that. Because you're wrong. So you'll have to take back those words. Because I know you're basically an honest person, right? So you'll have to take back those words. He's not a Zionist, right? Or do you need to, we can go look that up. It's an article about a month old. Go look it up. And then, you know, and I won't wait. It'll take you years to, in fact, you won't go look it up. You know, we just have nothing but bullshit for news media, and all these podcasts are bullshit too, including mine, because it only addresses a slice of it and not the whole. Well, I addressed the whole thing yesterday, but people don't want that. They don't want the whole enchilada, do you? No, you don't want the whole enchilada. You want little pieces and little gossip pieces. Get distracted and go look up little facts about the Knights Templar on down to the CIA and, you know, religious wars and, you know, and, you know, I was telling someone that, I was telling Pia, I think that, you know, I recall like in school, we were talking about the Roman armies of old. I don't know about the Greeks, but they had sodomite armies. The armies were, you had to be a sodomite to be in the army. So there was a sodomy army. It was kind of, you know, similar cult, you know, and it's like, almost like, well, that forms a bond, right? So you've got the same thing with the trans thing. Oh, it's a little more colorful, but, you know, it's becoming the cult of assassinations, the assassination cult, the murder cult. And, you know, it's very similar to, you know, what's happened in ancient times. But, you know, the people as usual won't do anything but sit there and be killed. So, and most of those are just, you know, will die not knowing who the fuck they are, what happened. They certainly will die without fulfilling their mission here on Earth. And if you want to stave it off and not have this bloodbath and not have this nuclear holocaust, then it's time to, you know, go ahead. You know, you get up off the chair and, you know, go fight it out wherever you can. City council meetings, you know, law offices, podcasts. There's room for many more voices. We have the same tired voices over and over again, getting all the attention. Boring as hell, man. It'd be nice to get some new blood in here. So long as you don't monetize it. Once you monetize your podcast, it's wrecked. You're prone to mistakes or to group think, like, well, what's the other guy saying? Okay, I'll say the same thing. We can all stand together saying the same thing. So if we're wrong, we'll all be wrong together. That sort of pettiness has no place in this war. We're in a war, an existential war. And what we need to be doing is basically keeping our eye on the prize. And that's, for those of you who know anything about anything, that's Christ. And understanding it's a spiritual war, and evil is growing because people don't care. And you'll see, Charlie Kirk will be moved off the airwaves. They keep saying disparaging things about him. And I'm like you. My carnal side of me would like to go throttle every one of those people. You say something about a great man like that, yeah, I want to punch your face in. But you see, that's not my calling. My calling is to be an ambassador of another way, not to fight for this stupid piece of shit world. And as far as Make America Great, how's America compared to the kingdom of God? Is it great? How is America compared to freedom? I mean, not death. People die in America, don't they? It's a big death cult. So, no love lost there. Just trying to find my way through. Just trying to figure out a way to die in peace. And I keep getting surprised by either stupidity or cowardice. What do you think is going to be the death knell of America? You think it's going to be cowardice or stupidity or both? And I'm talking about it, not the rabble. That's the rabble. Those are the good people. I'm talking about the DOJ. Stupid cow. Is that a stupid coward, Pam Bondi? She's afraid to go up against the big John Podesta machine? Because that's what it is. Get to the higher point. John Podesta, not the trannies and all that. Get to the higher point. Okay. She's afraid to go up against the New World Order? The Soroses and all those they could just snap her in two like a twig, couldn't they? And now we have a contract on Trump. So if you care about the president at all, I'd suggest praying. You may not be here next week. If Netanyahu and other people get their, somebody wrecked that. We were gone, remember? We were gone. You remember we were gone. Yeah, whenever we're gone, things don't work when we get back. Yeah, somebody did that. That's right. Somebody did that. And they should be executed. So much for the peace and love message of yesterday. Let me contradict myself and go all the way, go into the mega hypocrite. Yeah, there's a part of me that's really angry. I'm being facetious, but I want to fight and I want to bring the truth. The truth does not involve fighting. It involves the truth. You could become a martyr and be killed, but there's not much fight in that. A militia is for fighting. And I believe that America will form a bunch of militias. And really at the end, it will be, these are not the meek, the people that are, these are the oligarchs. These are the owners. The trans community represents the owners. I tried to tell young people about Soros and Gates and all these people when they were going, far left and then into the Communist Party. And they wanted to leave everything and just, make it a better world. I try to explain that it's a dictatorship run by, crony capitalists who steal and keep all the money and keep the people involved in labor, and the people get no. Study China. Don't you want to look at China? I don't know what else I could say. It's an ugly, shitty world if it's communism. Now in New York, the governor has just embraced Modami, or whatever his name is. Okay? And so is everybody else. That means that they've gone communist. They've gone red. Do you understand what that means? That means punishment for the people. That means no redistribution of wealth unless it's into the pockets of the millionaires and billionaires and trillionaires. It means nothing for the people, everything for the rich. It's the rich's greatest scheme against humanity, communism. But see, the people that can't see that are the same people that can't see beyond, who is paying the trans shooters. The same people. So, Pam Bondi, please go after them. Can't do it. Sorry, Zeph, I can't do it. I'm afraid for my life. I don't have jurisdiction. I cannot do anything against them. So go after a lone gunman and tell the people it's a lone gunman, a lone shooter of Trump, a lone shooter of Charlie Kirk, a lone shooter, and there's nothing else in the background. No, hundreds of people behind every hit. I know how many people it takes to make a hit like that. You have to have the news media. You have to have the think tanks. You have to have the military involved. The black hats. You got to have everybody involved and make it look like the lone gunman, one shooter as a patsy. Now, come on, we've been through this how many times? Why do you want me to explain it again? How many times do you have to hear the same story before you believe it? Oswald did not act alone. Oh God, I'm getting so tired. Please stop hurting me with your ignorance and your lies. Please, for God's sake. You're supposed to be the people that we rely on. And all you want to do is lie to the people and say, we're going to prosecute him to the further, I'll bet you can't wait until you execute that young man that shot Kirk. Whatever his name is, Tyler. I bet you can't wait. Because dead men tell no tales. And then the rest of the cult, which is your government, your compatriots, your co-workers, just disappear. And why can't you fire your co-workers? Because you don't have the authority to do so. Why can't Trump get anywhere with all this? Because he has not the authority to do so. President does not have all the cards. They made that clear a long time ago. He is stripped of power. So they're all salivating because they see MAGA now as a sitting duck, just waiting to be slaughtered. And nobody, not the president, not the military, not Pete Hegseth, or all the rest of the white-skinned bigots, they can't do a damn thing about it. Because you'd be a transphobe, a homophobe, as these queer armies get ramped up. And so we got to go back to the Greek Empire, the Roman Empire, back to the Trojans, back to different groups. And it's simply a model based on that. But I know no one's going to do the research. So anyway, so I got to make, if I'm going to go out, well, with a nuke, there's nothing I could do. I looked out the window and it was coming right at me. It was going to be a matter of seconds before I was incinerated. And all anybody wanted was to live in peace, to rebuild the economy based on fairness to the United States, which apparently every journalist is against fairness. Every journalist is against the truth. Every journalist is in love with lying. Nobody tells the truth. Everybody lies. So I guess that happened in Hollywood before anyone else, and now Hollywood is gone. It's funny. I noticed that the Hilton Hotel Corporation owns all of the little guys, Best Western and all those little, they bought them all up, and now they're worth probably as much as BlackRock, just an insane amount of money. So I hope it was worth it, Hilton's. I know when you took off on that path, you wanted more and more and more. You have more than you could ever need. But even that's not enough, is it? You just have to keep pushing it. And you will push it right off the fucking cliff. People like you and the rest of the money grubbers are just, intent on seeing the destruction of the United States. It's clear. And you'll see it all burn. You look out your window, out of your mansion in Bel Air, and you just watch it all burning, coming right for you. And then I want you to ask that question. Was it worth it forsaking the Lord? And then, being in love with money, being in love with, perverted society, being in love with evil. Was that worth it? Evil's smarter than you are. And now that it's been unleashed, it's going to get you. The human being cannot outsmart evil. The only way to outsmart evil is to be in Christ. God is the only one smart enough to outsmart evil. The only one. And I pray that we turn from, we can't be militaristic. We can't be, retaliatory. We have to take the spiritual road. As much as I, being a man, being a passionate guy, not afraid of a fight. As much as I'd love to engage in any kind of debate, fighting, all kinds of this whole contest that's going on, it's a waste of my time. All the details about who, what, where, why, I don't care. What militia, what cult, what this, what that, I don't care. That's all minutia. The important thing is who pays for it. That's it. That's it. You want to cut the head off the snake, Mr. Trump, President Trump? No, you're not President Almighty. You're President. You've been reduced a few notches in your ego, I guess. You're feeling pretty low right now. Well, I'll tell you, it's the people who pay for it, sir, with all due respect. It's the people that pay for it that are causing it. They are in line with evil. They are part of ancient secret societies and bloodlines. And they pay for it all. And you can't make a move. That's why they want to call you to the UK. They want you working for them. They want to reestablish the British Empire. And they want you to head it up. Israel wants you to reestablish the Israel Empire and the British Israel Empire and the New World Order and lift it all up. And to the extent you can do that, they will leave you alone. But the fact that you don't want to be Bibi's boy toy, I guess, shows that now you see that they have the greatest assassination organization in the world. And now you got to have to deal with that threat. And it's just terrible. Now, folks, that is a rumor on the internet. That means it's not, there's no way we could know if there's an actual contract launch. We've heard it from witnesses who have been in touch with Trump. So that's all. That's all I can say to you. We've, are these witnesses reliable? Well, they're only as reliable as what they hear. If they've heard lies, then no, they're not reliable. But the threat is got enough credibility for me to take it seriously and say, we got to get into prayer for Trump and for, I don't know what law enforcement is, folks. I'm really sorry. To me, law enforcement is not for the people. Okay, so the DOJ, FBI, and all the other agencies are working for themselves. And not Kash Patel or any human, or Christy Nome or, any of these people, Radcliffe or any of the rest of them, they don't have any power. Dan Bongino, he has no power. They can't affect change. They can just do paperwork. They can go to the crime scene of Charlie Kirk, take evidence and go home. That's it. They can't go bust the network. They can't bust the cells. They can't bust the money. They can't freeze the money. They're talking about freezing the money from one guy that pays for a lot of marches, an Indian guy. But they can't touch Soros apparently, or haven't been able to so far. And if you don't cut the head off the snake, it's going to bite you, right? That's what Trump taught us when he said the story of the snake, that the snake could bite you. Well, then you got to cut the head off the snake. So that means, that even means bringing in people like Larry Fink and what kind of pressure they're putting on corporations, corporate CEOs. How many people are in bed with this thing, with this overthrow of the United States? Keep your eye on the big picture. That's what Podesta is planning. They either control it and control the vote, which they lost the cheating ability this time. And so they said, okay, we'll go to civil war then. You won't let us cheat, we'll just go to civil war. We'll kill your ass. We'll just kill all of you anyway. You don't want to let us cheat? We'll kill you all. How's that? So that's mob bullshit out of Al Capone, Chicago. You got Pritzker being like a stand-in for Al Capone, right? The odds on you even getting out of here in one piece without either starving to death or being blown away are slim and none. So if you have to go, as Mel Gibson said so wisely on the battlefield, what would you give to be able to have a battle like this up against Britain? For just once in your life, you have a shot. Or would you rather stay home safely, taking care of the babies, being a good mother and a good wife? Would you trade all those days, and he said, for one day on this battlefield, even if you lose, for a chance to dignify the truth, to dignify yourselves as human beings, to dignify yourselves as free. I don't know that America even understands that question. I don't think so. So, you know, the Chinese and even the Indians and everybody else sees America as up for grabs, and with a lot of assets. And that's why Trump's able to do these tariffs, because without the American economic engine, it doesn't work. That's why they're trying to get BRICS going, alternative currencies, anything. If the people would repent and take this seriously for once, there'd be a chance of not having a disaster, but having an actual golden age, in the age of Aquarius, in the new age, that may ultimately lead to corruption again, but not for a while. To have that respite of peace and prosperity, which the fourth turning brings, because of the fact that it's a neo-industrial revolution. And so to take advantage of that means, yeah, a lot of people would benefit. A lot of people would be paid a lot more money in their jobs. There'd be a lot more skilled workers here. I mean, it would be great, and people could coexist and live in peace, no matter what their background is or their religion. That would be a nice thing. Tell me, when you're talking to a gay person, do you feel like you need to lecture them about being gay, or do you just quietly observe that, you know, hey, we're both human beings and we're communicating, and those choices they made are not the ones I've made. So what? We're communicating. We love each other. Is that so hard to do? When I'm communicating with somebody, they may be all kinds of things, but that communication is what makes me see them as human. That's why Charlie Kirk said, you know, when the words stop, the violence begins. Remember that? That was why he got killed, for that. When the words stop, said Charlie Kirk, the violence begins. So let's have words. Let's have communication. When you call people Hitler and vilify one half of the country, call them all Nazis, to where you won't interact, you won't have. The reason the communists don't want you to have words is because that would heal the nation. If there was communication. And so they interrupt you. They have noisemakers to interrupt speech because they're demonic. They know that would heal things. Like, we can't have that. We need blood, blood, blood. Death, death, death. Nothing but blood and death and death and death and death. To the sun, to the moon, to all humans, to everything. And that's where this leads. That's where it leads. That's where evil leads. Evil is the opposite word of live. Turn it around and it spells live, life, freedom, expansion, freedom. Wherever the Lord dwells, there is freedom. Wherever the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. And I would say that's the only place that it is. And I see the Lord's getting out. And there's a lot more people believing. They're not believing, they're receiving miracle after miracle, going, why didn't I know this before? How come no one will listen to me when I try to tell them about it? Because they've been programmed to shut you down. They've been programmed to kick you out. When you give them the shirt off your back, they want to cut your throat. When you cause them to live and heal them of a wound or a disease, they want to kill you. Does that sound normal, logical, reasonable? Of course not. So what happens when you're dealing with unreasonable people who will not communicate? See, now you have a real problem. You defend, right? You defend. And you hope the defense doesn't get to a utterly bloody point, which civil wars tend to do. And so this is a word of caution. Yes, I'm angry, but I'm choosing communication. I would choose love over hate. And that means, to me, love means Christ-like. If I can do it, if I can muster it, if I can put my animus of people that want to kill you for believing in commerce, or believing in free thought, believing in free thought in creative aspects such as music or movies. So I will contribute to your well-being by being bold and speaking boldly as I ought to speak publicly, wherever I can. Jesus is on my tongue, on my sleeve. And when it's very inconvenient, Jesus, 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 because they don't know the power of the name. They don't know the power of the word, the power of the entire universe in one little child. And with that, I bid you shalom.
They want us to eat a crumble cake. A crumble cake. I like crumble cake, but not so much now. It gets everywhere. Wake up, wake up. In the night, you can't sleep, can't get it right. All those thoughts, they bruise down in the darkness when you were used as fodder, like your sons and daughters. 5G on the line, we're streaming now, wild in time. I can't live like this anymore. I can't take it anymore. I need some peace. I need release. And I can't take this anymore. The girl is lying on the floor, begging for mercy, begging for mercy. But it's still a crumble cake, love. You see that, right? Still a crumble cake. Crumble cake. La 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 la. Echo, echo, echo chamber. Circle jerk and feedback loop. It's a myopia. Trigger words enforced. Sharp sting of the vaccine. Your pineal gland petrification. Plato's cave, monoslave. Do you get it? Do you get it? now. You sit down. I feel